We got a huge guest today. As you can see, it is Barstool Sports, Jared Carrabis. Awesome interview, long one, an hour and a half plus. We talked baseball. We talked about his career. We talked about his podcast. We talked about his co-host, Dallas Braden, the guy who threw the perfect game with the A's. And he also does the intro for the podcast on iTunes and Spotify. Speaking of that, go subscribe to those on iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube. Go like on YouTube, watch the interview, listen to it. Give me a rating, give me a review, and what a way to start 2021 with Barstool Sports, Jared Carrabis. It's a great way to start the year. Let's get started. Today we got a huge guest. We have the host of Starting Nine. We got the host of Section 10. We have the best baseball journalist in the biz. It is Barstool Sports, the Rocket, Jared Carrabis. Jared, how we doing?
What's going on? This is a long time coming.
Long time coming. I've been a fan of yours for a while. Been reading your blogs, read everything. I watch Starting Nine clips. I listen to pod. Call it on CCK from here from time to time.
One of the best callers that we get, by the way.
I appreciate that. I do appreciate that. I have some downtime from that point on during the show, so I can try to sneak in the call if I can. So we'll talk. Yeah, we'll talk about baseball. I got a bunch of questions to ask you about baseball today. Of course, Tatis rumors, the Lindor trade, your Sox, of course. And I know you might know I'm a Yankee fan, but I'm not a Yankee fan. Like, I'm a diehard Yankee fan.
But you're not an insufferable Yankee fan.
And there's the correct answer. I am on the side of Hubs and Tommy and Mush, but I'm not. I guess they're like almost like they don't realize when the Yankees are in trouble or not.
For sure. Yeah, they're not realistic at all. They're not in tune with reality. But no, you've been very realistic about the Yankees from what I can see.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to see from what's going on, but we'll get into that in a second. But let's start off. You've been covering the Red Sox, I would say, half of your life, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, New Year's Day was 15 years.
Jesus Christ, wow. That's incredible.
Yeah.
You first started covering from a standpoint where everyone started recognizing when you published your book, right?
Yeah.
Talk to me about the process of doing that, the age, how you started, and was this like the turning point of like, this is exactly what the career and how I want to go in this business?
Yeah, I mean, so I started my blog when I was 16, and like back then, like Barstool existed, but it was not like a job. Like, it wasn't a career path. You couldn't be like, hey, I want to go to Barstool and like make a career for myself. It was more just like, I read the blogs. Like, it was 99% of the blog back then was Dave.
And you'd make up names and stuff like that.
Right? Yeah. So like Dave was like, you were basically reading Dave's blogs on like everything. It wasn't even like they didn't have a Red Sox guy or whatever. He would mix in some Red Sox stuff like here and there, but it wasn't like breaking down the Red Sox. It was more just, I don't know, random stuff. So when I started the blog, like it built up a ton of popularity on MySpace, and
MySpace, that's a throwback.
Yeah, like I started on MySpace, and like they had this election for president of Red Sox Nation in 2007, which was the year after I started SoxSpace, and like the people that read my website, they just like voted me in. Like I didn't like sign up for it. It was like a bunch of celebrities. It was like Dennis Leary and Ben Affleck and Peter Gammons and Jerry Remy and Sam Horn, and then me. It was very bizarre. So I kind of like, I never wanted to be public. Like I was more than happy with being anonymous and like, you know, staying behind the scenes, but just having, you know, being able to write stuff. And I was super shy back then. I wanted nothing to do I mean, podcasting wasn't really a thing yet, but just I wanted to write, and that was it. I wanted to hide behind my keyboard forever. So then with the election, there was a debate on Nesson, which is like the Red Sox broadcasting channel. And I was on that, and it was just like, boom, like here you are, you're on TV and people are seeing you, and you're up on stage, and you're going at it with like Jerry Remy and Sam Horn and all these guys. And that was really kind of just like trial by fire. It's like, if you're going to do this, your first gig is going to be on Nesson, and your name's on the podium and your face is there. And it was this whole to do. And then that's kind of when I was like, all right, I think we might have something here, where, because I was forced, like I would never would have signed up for that. I never would have campaigned to put myself in that position. Because I was forced into it, I was like, all right, I have no other choice. Let's make the most of this opportunity. And it felt natural to me to be up there and doing it. Right. And I thought at the time, I was like, this is like a once in a lifetime opportunity, like enjoy your 15 minutes of fame and keep it moving. But I mean, after that happened, like I was 18 years old the first time I got like recognized in public at Fenway.
That's nuts, dude.
Yeah, like going, because it happened. The debate was in September, and then the Red Sox won the World Series that year. So like I was going to like playoff games, and people were like, oh my God, like you're that dude from Nesson, like the president thing. And yeah, I mean, and it just never stopped. I mean, like obviously it blew up at a certain point, but from the time that I was 18, I got recognized at Fenway like a handful of times a year, to now it's just like a gong show. Like whenever
you can't step foot in there without someone taking a photo with you.
No. And like I've had the same season ticket seats since I was 9. We got them in 98.
Right. And
I mean, people have obviously found out where my seats are. So like I'll be sitting there at the game, and people will just like come up to my seats, which like I'm at the end of the row. Like I have a railing on my left arm, and then to get to my seats, like you got to go all the way down the row, and like my dad will be on my right. So people will go to the section to my left, and they'll like shimmy down that row to kind of like get to the railing that's on my left, because it's like an elevated section like that. Yeah, so people will just like come up like every 2 seconds.
They're causing traffic.
Yeah, it's crazy. But like, and like my dad is like just starting to get it. Like he gets it now, but for a while, like people would be coming up to me at Fenway. He's like, oh yeah, like, do you go to college with that person? Like, do you know who that is? Like, who's that? Like,
no
I'm like,
idea.
Dad, I don't know who that is. Like, what do you mean you don't know who that is? Like, he just like, it didn't register in his brain for like many years. He had to see it in bulk before it really, like when he like in 2018, when he was going to the live shows, we were doing live podcasts, and like, I mean, we banged out bars. It was like just a sea. It was like a Motley Crue concert. It was a sea of people. It went all the way back to the main entrance. And I think like that's when it finally like stuck out in his head, like, all right, like, yeah, maybe he's on to something here.
Isn't that funny though? Like their family members and like your parents, siblings, they'll like see you put hard work into it, and they're like, all right, but what else? Like, what's the job? Like, what do you, are you getting making money? It's like comedians, where it's like, you can tell, like, I remember like, I hear stories all the time about how comedians would, they're starting to get their, their sets in, and they're getting their opportunity on stage, and then the parents are like, so, well, what else are you doing? Like, what is your career? And like, Dad, this is it.
Yeah. And I can't blame them, because, I tell people all the time that start a blog, and then they keep up with it for like 2 months, and then they're like, hey, can I get a job at Barstool? And it's like, I did this for 8 years for $0. So like my parents saw, I mean, like I started the blog in 2006, and I didn't get paid until 2012, kind of like 12. Like I got paid like whatever it was, like $300 a week or something like that. And then like at the end of the year, they were like, yeah, we have to drastically reduce your pay. And I was like, all right, sick. I think I'll just do it on my own now. Like, I don't want to, like, it's not worth it. So like they saw that, where it was like, yeah, I mean, he was doing it and it was successful. Like a lot of people knew about it, but like, was it my career? Was it paying the bills? Did I have my own place? No. So it wasn't really until I went to Barstool where they were like, all right, yeah, like cool, good for you. Like, cause I was working like a desk job at the time. Like when I first went to Barstool, I was working like at an SEO firm, and I was making like 40 grand a year. And I thought I was like loaded because all the entry level positions for like a business major, it was like 32 grand, 32 grand, 32 grand.
Oh,
And
so
I
you were
kept
living it
scrolling.
up.
Yeah. And then I finally saw one that was 40, and I was like, oh man, I'm going to try and interview for this one. And I got the job. And I was like, I'm already 8 grand ahead of where everyone else is that
Right,
started here.
motherfucker. Right.
Yeah. And then like Barstool came along, and it was a little bit more than the 40. I mean, it wasn't much more, but it was more. And I was like, okay, cool. Like I'm doing what I want to do, and I'm making more than what I would have been making with my actual degree. So
That's
yeah,
sick.
it just goes from there. But like, yeah, I mean, with the whole book thing, that was, I wanted to kind of write a memoir about 2007 because, like the fans of the website put me in that position. Like I didn't sign up for it. Like they were just like, Jared should be in this presidential election. So I wanted to write a memoir about the experiences that I had because of the people that put me in that position.
Yeah.
And then the Red Sox went on to win the World Series. So like there was no like right time to like start writing about it. Cause I was like, obviously we're focusing on the team. Like this is a World Series champion team. Like we're going to, do that. And then after the World Series was over, that's when I started to write about 2007. And then it ended up being like 50 Microsoft Word pages. So I was like,
yeah.
well, I kind of always wanted to write a book, didn't really have anything to write about. So I wrote 2007, and then I went back. I was born on opening day, 1989. So I went back and started from 89 up until 2007. And then when I finished that, 2008 happened. So then I wrote 2008. So
You
I
were
started
meant
it.
to write that.
Yeah,
It was like meant to write that. Hold on. Do you hear my fan?
No,
Oh, I'm frozen.
I can
Of
still hear
course.
you though.
You can? Oh,
Yeah.
This is annoying. Of course, when I just pause it for 2 seconds. No, I didn't even pause it. This new technology I just get, it's fucking me over right now. All right, I might have to switch over to the FaceTime and then see, look, that now my camera lens is legit in my face. There we go. Now I'm back. You don't hear the fan at all? All right,
No.
cool. But yeah, no, that's that's the cool thing about all of this is that from that one book, it's and getting on Nesson, and it's just like for everybody, you only need like a little bit of confidence, someone else to tell you that you're really good at it, to then say, all right, I think I'm going to make this into a career. And then you freaking jumped you were on Nesson, you were covering the Red Sox here and there, you were on radio shows all the time. And then your face from, you were being this Red Sox fan writing the book, but now you're all over television now.
Yeah, I mean,
did you even have experience in TV before that?
No.
How did they give you the opportunity because you are a Red Sox fan and you're this guy? And I would freak out if I didn't have any TV experience. And like, yeah, you're to be the third guy on the desk.
Yeah, I mean, I multiple times I've just had like a rocket ship strapped to my ass. Like I know that I've caught multiple breaks, and I've been very lucky. Like I think I'm good at what I do, but I also know that I've caught many breaks that a lot of people would love to have had in their careers.
Mm-hmm.
Like perfect example is the MySpace thing. I started that MySpace page at the peak of the MySpace craze. So there were a ton of people on there. Like if I started that thing in 2009, 2010, that doesn't blow up. Like everyone was already off by then. And like Facebook was a completely different place to kind of grow something. So like I came in guns blazing because I went from, I have no audience, no one knows who I am, to I have this blog with 125, 150,000 friends on it, to now
wild, dude.
over
Holy
to like
shit.
It's like a .com website. And then Twitter's a thing. And like Twitter has obviously taken longer to build up to what it is now. But like getting the break with like the magazine that I wrote for in 2012, like that kind of just confirmation, like, hey, someone thinks that I'm good enough for them to like pay me to do this. And then I kind of lost my passion for it a little bit. And then the Red Sox win the World Series in 2013. And it's like, all right, we're going to breathe that life back into you. That is like a huge thing for me, where I was so discouraged and didn't want to do it for a career anymore. And then the Red Sox winning in 13 was like, if that didn't happen, I don't know if I'm still doing this.
Yo, that's really interesting, because I didn't know there was a point in time in your career that you lost interest.
Big time.
If you can tell me the reasoning, was it some sort of, were you self-conscious? Were you just not motivated? What was it exactly?
So, I mean, when I started in 06, I mean, that team didn't make the playoffs, but everyone was still riding the high from 04. 07, they won the World Series. 08, they were a game away from the World Series. 09, they went to the playoffs. 10, it was like, all right, whatever. They didn't make the playoffs, but it was still like an interesting team. 11, you had like the best team ever that didn't go to it was the collapse. Like, it sucked, but it was still like super interesting because of the storyline. And then 2012, it was the first year that I got paid to do it. And that was the most abysmal team of all time. So I was like, oh, wow. Like, the year that I absolutely, because before, like, I still wrote every day when I wasn't getting paid, but like having to write every day because it's your job.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't necessarily want to write about these things because everything was so bad. Like, more people were interested in the drama stories behind the scenes than the actual baseball on the field. And I was like, this is miserable. And having bosses that, like, they hired me to blog, but they were a magazine. So it was like they had like a newspaper mindset where it was like, all right, we're going to assign you stories. And it's like, well, I only write about like what I care about. Like, I'm not going to write about what you care about. And so like it was one and done. It was 1 year. Like, they didn't treat me that great. And
They're lost, man. They fucked up.
Yeah, it was just not a good fit. It was not a good fit.
Right.
Like, I don't think they knew enough about what they were getting when they brought me on. And so, I mean, I hated it and I was miserable. I was like, if this is what it's like to do this for a career, like, I don't think I want to do this anymore. And at that point, like, I didn't have a college degree. I had started and didn't finish college. Like, I wasn't actively taking classes at that point. And like, my mentor at the time, he was a Marine. And I was like,
Whoa.
you know what? I was like, I don't know. I mean, like, if I'm not going to be a writer, I don't want to, like, I don't care enough to finish school. Like, I'm not passionate about business. I was like, maybe I'll just join the Marines. Like, I want to like do something where, like, I didn't want to like do something with the rest of my life where my parents were like, yeah, and this is Jared and he works at this company and it's great. He's got a 9 to 5, but like, whatever.
Dude, that's how I feel all the time, man. I feel I don't want to be that. I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
I don't.
I wanted nothing to do with being that guy. So I was like,
there's nothing wrong with that kind of guy, by the way.
No, I mean, like, if you have,
that's just not how I'm wired and not how you're wired.
If you have obligations, you got a family, you got kids, you got bills, like, you do what it takes to like meet those obligations. Like, you pay your bills, you take care of your family, you do all that stuff.
Right.
I didn't have family, like, I didn't have very many bills. So it was like, I'm not in a rush to just like take up some job that I'm going to hate for the rest of my life and just call it quits on this, whatever. So I was like, you know what? Like, one of my best friends went into the Army and he came out and then he became like a firefighter. I was like, you know, this like my mentor at the time, like, I was like, he talks about the Marines 24/7. I was like, maybe I'll just do that. And I went and I took like the written test and I sat down with the recruiter talking about like, you know, if you make it through, like, these are the different jobs that you can have while you're in the Marines. And I've told that story like on radio before where like the Red Sox were so bad in 2012 that like I almost like preferred to be in Afghanistan than Boston, which like has some truth to it. Like, that was like, if the Red Sox were great in 2012, am I considering going into the Marines? No.
That's insane. It was like they were the deciding point for your career.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Like, just like the failed experiment with like actually doing it for a job, getting paid, having bosses, the Red Sox being so bad and so unlikable. And also the biggest thing was that I had a friend of mine that helped put together like a PowerPoint resume type deal. Like, it wasn't just like your standard resume. It was like a PowerPoint and he customized like 50 of them. it was my resume, but it was like Boston Globe, here's what I want to do for you. Boston Herald, here's what I want to do for
Oh,
you.
that's
Providence
dope.
Journal. He did that for every out. Like if you covered the Red Sox,
Right.
he made a resume custom to you. And I sent out 50 emails with these custom resumes being like, I want to work for you. Here's what I've done. Here's what I can do for you. Here's what I'm all about. And I got like 2 responses. One of them was like no, thanks, we're all set. And the other one was like, we'll let you know if anything opens up.
Which is
And
also was always a no.
yeah, and
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, back then, literally, if you covered the Red Sox, you could have had me, and everyone passed. So I was like, all right, like I shot my shot, and nobody wants me, even though I've built up like this massive audience, and I feel like
Right.
I'm good at this. It's what I want to do. Well, when you kind of go for it, it's the same thing as like having a crush on a girl for like years, and then you finally ask her on a date, and then she's just like, I just see us as friends. Then it's like, all right, then like you've made all the
Right.
effort you possibly can. Like the dream of marrying this girl is dead. Like you're not gonna like once this girl like doesn't care enough to the point where she's like, I totally just see us as friends. There's no convincing her otherwise. Like, hey, but like I can do this and I can do that. It's like, no, you're just making it worse for yourself. So I was like, all right, like that's it. Like I gave it a shot. Like I did this for many years and it didn't work out. So I was like, I guess we're gonna go into the Marines. And if
Fuck,
it,
dude, that's insane. How like that just isn't that crazy how things work like that? And
yeah,
and then you just kind of give it one more shot.
I mean,
Clearly.
it came down to my mom wrote me a letter, like
Uh
begging me
wow.
not to go into the Marines. She was like, I don't want you to give up on this. Like, I know like writing is what you want to do. I know that you're really good at it. Like, just, like give it
How
more
old are you?
time. 2012, I would have been what, like 22, 23.
Oh, that's young, man.
Yeah, I was 23. Um, so yeah, I mean, like she just was like, I don't want to see like the person who you are like change. Like I obviously don't want anything to happen to you.
Go, right.
Yeah, so she just kind of like wrote this letter and I was like, well, shit, I guess I'm not doing this. I mean, I was dead set. Like
That's fucking nuts,
yeah,
dude.
yeah,
Imagine no Rocket covering no baseball.
yeah.
I mean, honest, look, I'm not trying to like, suck your dick over here, but you're a god at Barstool and you're like one
I
of the better,
appreciate it, man.
you're personally, I think the biggest one, like top 10 at least big baseball guys, reporters out there.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
the
it almost didn't happen. I mean,
and that's what's nuts. And I
yeah.
love how that, I'm sure you don't think about it all the time, but there's times when you're having like a lot of success, like one day or 1 week or 1 month, whatever. And you look back at those 50 different places that said no to you.
Oh yeah,
And
I
you're like,
remember.
like
Yeah.
that, bang,
Mm-hmm.
bang, bang, like
Yep.
that. Suck it.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely killing it. Have you run into anybody from those places that are like, oh, too bad you're not working here. And it's like, well, Dick, I actually applied and you guys said no to it.
I bet you that a majority, like a vast majority of those places don't
Right.
even like they didn't put 2 and 2 together.
It's so
Like
stupid. Oh my
I bet
God.
you if I was like a dick and I like went back through like my emails and followed up and been like, what about now?
Oh, that'd be so, dude. The
Yeah.
revenge tour. You gotta do it.
Yeah.
That'd be so funny.
Yeah. I mean, like the only other place that I know like was aware that I wanted to work there and they basically passed was WEI. Like
Oh, wow.
I had talked to them in like 2011 maybe.
Sure.
Yeah, so 2011 I was talking to them about maybe coming on and then they never really followed up. And then also when David Price signed with the Red Sox in 2015, I was at Barstool, but I got WEI the first interview with David Price. Like he had just signed and I was filling in on Christmas Eve. So he was with the Red Sox for like 3 weeks at that point. And I was like, hey, like, this is like a big deal for me. Like WEI is like having me on to fill in for their drive time show for 4 hours. Like, would you mind coming on to do an interview? And he was like, yeah, sure. No problem. And he came on, and then like, I never heard from anyone at EEI. Like, dude, I got you David Price. Like, he just signed with the Red Sox, and I got you his like first interview. And
That
so like,
pissed me off, man.
I remembered that when like I was doing radio stuff and like sport, like I wanted to go to the sports hub. Like I was like, before I moved to New York, I was doing regular radio spots. And I was like, yeah, like I'm going to the sports hub. And then EEI was trying to get me from the sports hub. And I was like, no, I was like, I don't like, I wouldn't even go there for more money. Like the sports hub actually gave me a shot. And
doesn't,
like,
you know what that means? That means almost more to somebody. I mean, depending on what people value, but to me, I mean, if it was a significant jump in money, then that I might consider it. But for me, I would absolutely be in the same shoes. One, they respect me. Two, they gave me a shot, and they respect my work.
Yeah.
And that's the bottom line.
Yeah, I was very bitter about that. I mean, I don't care now, but like back then, to not even, they put the full interview on their website and everything, and to not even hear from anyone at EEI, like, hey,
that's so fucked.
Saw you were the reason why we got David Price. Like, let's talk. Nothing.
So
I never did like another show for them. But yeah, I mean, I like to even just get my foot in the door. I remember I reached out. This was the summer of 14. So I wasn't at Barstool yet. At the end of the 14 season is when I would go to Barstool. But the summer of 14, I remember I just like reached out to Mutt on Twitter and was like, hey, do you need an intern? And he was like, well, we can't pay you, but what type of like stuff you trying to do? And I was like, well, I listened to the late night show that you do, like the Red Sox post game show. And I know that you're by yourself. And like, I'm sure that there's like stuff that you're probably like thinking of like stats or something or like whatever. And it's like, you can't talk and research at the same time. So I was like, I can like, just like look up stats for you while you're on the air and
oh, wow.
Whatever. And he was like, yeah, he's like, again, I can't pay you, but if you want to do that, then you're more than welcome to. So I was there like every night, just like sitting in, like
it's the extra work, man. It's the extra work.
Yeah. Like
puts you over the top.
Yeah. Pat O'Day, was doing producing the Red Sox games on radio, and I would just sit next to him and like watch him kind of like do his thing. And like, I'd be able to like watch the game on TV, but I'm hearing Joe Castig do the games and like hearing him talk back and forth.
Like, yeah, you're smiling now. It looks like you were in heaven then.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was so cool to like,
absolutely
see like the inner workings of that, and then just go down the hall, and then Mutt's doing the Red Sox post game show. And I mean, like, I was doing like the grunt work, but like people knew that I was there. So like I could see like the text line, and like people were like texting in like #free Carrabis. Like they wanted me to like go on the air. And I was like, nah, I was like, I'm just doing my job here. It's like, I'm just going to look up stats or whatever. And then eventually like I did a couple post-game shows like later on, like a couple of years down the line. Like I ended up like going back and actually doing the show, which was cool.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, like a lot of stuff like that is just like you take the initiative and put yourself out there. Like people just want to like get rich quick. It's like, well, I'm doing this, and like, well, what can you pay me? Like I didn't even ask for money. I was like, hey, can I go there and help you and just like see what's up with all this? And
look, if you want to be like in this industry, I'm 25, turning 26 next month, so I'm still fairly young, and I've hopped around certain places, but it's you gotta like just first of all, extra work is if you're not doing work outside of your job that you already have. When you're making that at that job, you're making like $0 or like minimum wage or a little above that.
Yeah,
you have to do extra shit, and you clearly you're like the prime example. You have years upon years of and threads of stuff you did outside, not making money. But now let's like fast forward to Barstool now. You have 3 shows, Starting 9, Section 10, which you've had for a long time.
Yeah, it's the second Barstool podcast ever.
Yeah, KFC Radio's first, right? That's what I'm trying to remember. Yeah, so you have that, and then you have Morning Wood, which is brand new as of the pandemic.
Yep.
Starting 9, when you talk about like the duos, of podcast hosts. There's a lot of Barstool, PMT,
Mm-hmm.
KFC Radio, and Chicks in the Office. You can go on and on. You guys, you and Dallas have this awesome rapport, an awesome relationship that is a match made in heaven from baseball fans. You have Dallas Braden, perfect game. And it's funny because it's like everyone busts his balls. That's the only thing he can show for it, which honestly it is, but it's one of the greatest feats in baseball history.
Right.
And it separates him because he has this perfect game. He had a career in Major League Baseball, but the personality I think matches up with your personality perfectly. And before we go on with Starting Nine, it was what I think it was last year. Where was the winter meetings? San Diego, right?
Yeah.
So I couldn't make it, but my cousin, who I swear to God, my cousin Eli will be a GM in the future. He's doing front office stuff. He's a brilliant guy, play college ball. He was there, and I said, you have to get me anybody to do like an intro, like this is so and so from blank, and you're listening to the End of the Bench. I went to Cooperstown last summer, 2 summers ago. I got Pete Rose to do it. I've gotten other guys to do it. And I got Dallas Braden to do it. I'm going to show you right now. It is fucking fantastic. I was like worried I was going to forget about this. If I can find it.
I wonder where I was at the time of this recording.
I don't know. You might have been there. I don't know, but come on. I got to find it. It's here we go. All right. Unmute it. I'll switch it around here. So you got Dallas Braden there. Oh my God! Now it's muted again. Okay.
How we doing, folks? This is Harold.
Oh, I got Harold.
How we doing, folks? It's your boy DB, Barstool Sports, Starting Nine, and you are listening to the End of the Bench. Scoot your ass down.
Yeah, dude. And I told my cousin Eli, I'm like, tell them just to ad lib, do whatever they want.
Yeah.
He did that, and look, you didn't have to do that.
Yeah, no, he loves doing that stuff.
And just talk about the relationship between you two and how much of a cool guy is he to work with day in, day out on Starting Nine.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Dallas and I is that, I mean, when you have podcasts, it's almost like being in a band. And, I don't want to like throw like ricochet shots at other people, but like, I feel like some people are more concerned with being like Adam Levine, whereas Dallas and I are more concerned with being like Led Zeppelin. Like you can name most, if not all, the members of Led Zeppelin because they're all great at what they do and the band is great. And then Adam Levine, it's like, yeah, he just he's a standout star. Yes, he had a band, but like it's Adam Levine. And everyone, I feel like a lot of people want to be that. But like Dallas and I, we care about the band. Like we don't care about like being like the standout guy. It's not even like a 1A and 1B. It's just 1A and 1A. Like we're very much 50-50 with that show. Like a lot of other podcasts, like you can tell who the alpha dog is. Like with Starting Nine, it's just like if you watch us do our thing and you watch us like do an interview, if you didn't know us, I don't think you'd be able to be like, all right, that guy's the one, that guy's the two. It's like you wouldn't be able to if you genuinely had never heard of us before and didn't know us and you sat in on an interview. I don't think you'd be able to tell like who's one and who's two.
And that's how I think it should be. And it's so I think what Barstool makes is really good at is when they find talent and they put two people together that have never worked together before.
Yeah.
And you don't really see a lot of that Adam Levine type host, and the rest is just the second guy or the second guy there or second girl there. Yeah. There's a lot of people that work together and they're perfect. They butt heads like the Casey and Brendan Walker kind of stuff, and they also like each other too. But like you guys just mesh so well, and the joking around. But aside from the joking around personality stuff, the amount of information that both of you guys know and put into a podcast. Now, shout out Jay. Hey, we don't leave him out either. But when it comes to the two of you together, it's it's such a good matchup because you have the baseball writer, and then you have the athlete, the player, and it's just a match made in heaven.
Like with Dallas, I mean, he's just so smart, and he like the reason why I love working with Dallas is because I can still learn new things about baseball, and I can see things a different way, and like he gives me a perspective that I wouldn't have otherwise.
Sure.
And like even if I don't agree with him, like I respect his stance on things and his point of view. Like if we ever disagree on something, it's never like one person's wrong and the other person's right. It's more just like, I respect that you feel that way, but I feel this way. And yeah, like a lot of the disagreements are that way, where it's just we're coming from two completely different worlds, two completely different places with different experiences. So naturally we are going to feel differently about different things. But when there is a disagreement, it's like I'm more likely to listen to his stance because it's like, well, maybe I'm missing something. Like maybe he's seeing something that I'm not seeing. Maybe he experienced something that I've never experienced. So like I should probably just like listen to what he's saying and try to understand it from his point of view. And you can't do that if you have like two like egomaniacs that are like, I can never be wrong about anything. Like I recognize I can be wrong. And I recognize that I might not have all the life experience to like feel a certain way about a certain situation or, yeah, I mean, I think with our dynamic, like there's so much give and take where there are differing point of views, which is great. Like you never want to have a podcast where both people just agree with each other all the time. But I think that even when we disagree on things, both sides are respected because it's like, I've had life experiences myself too. And it's like, I'm coming from a different place, but that place isn't from a place of like, I don't know what I'm talking about. It's just, I come from a place where I experienced things differently than you did. But yeah, I mean, like the whole thing about Dallas is that you're never going to find someone like from a starting nine perspective that's ever going to care about the brand more. Like he's super passionate about like growing the game and getting like people excited about baseball and informing people and like showcasing players in a certain way where like maybe you're not a White Sox fan, but now you love Lucas Giolito because of the conversation that we've had with that guy. And I think like our goal in like growing the game.
Do you still use his hair gel with the hair gel reference?
I do. Yeah.
Fire.
I still use the brand. I actually gave him a recommendation the other day too. It's something different. Yeah. I was like, I think we might have found like a different secret weapon, and I sent him the Amazon link. So yeah, we still keep in touch about our hair products. But like the thing about like Dallas and myself is that we're both so much on the same page about like Dallas loves the A's. I love the Red Sox, but I would love to live in a world where baseball fans got excited watching two completely different teams that weren't theirs, like playing each other, because it's like, well, I like that player. I like that player. I heard this interview. He's funny. And like, if you're sitting there with like one of your friends that doesn't know any players on either team, they can now sit there and be like teaching them about these players because of stuff that they heard in like interviews with like starting nine. So, yeah, I mean, it's a lot of fun doing the show with him. It's something, you know, it's much different from Section 10. Section 10 is completely different from starting nine. And like the band example, like Section 10, it can't be that like equal band thing. Like the Section 10 is like the NWO. Like I'm Hulk Hogan, I got the title, but like Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, like you don't want to mess with those dudes either. Like they're still very good in their own right, and they can go off and do their own stuff from like a singles perspective. But when we get together, it's just like the mega powers of like Red Sox podcasting. So like there is like a front man there, but that's just like, you know, that's because in like the Red Sox realm, I've just been doing it for so long. But it's not like Section 10 isn't, there's a front man and you don't even know the other bandmates. It's
the cast of characters, right?
Yeah, it's the NWO. Like there's very clearly a leader, but like the other two dudes, like those are big names too.
Pretty good. That's a pretty good example when it comes to describing what Section 10 is, and that following is unreal. But with starting 9, the guests, all-timers. You've had Hall of Famers, MVPs, Cy Youngs, Rookie of the Years. I mean, I have a list of like 15. Cal Ripken, Bryce Harper, Arenado, Yelich, Bregman, Bauer, and Bieber, Clevenger, Stroman, which Stroman's one of my favorite interviews. Fan favorites in Brock Holt. But you said in a I think it was an interview I read or something. I don't know where it was. I keep forgetting. But Josh Donaldson is your favorite non-Red Sox player interview.
Yeah.
I can see why.
Yeah, I love Josh Donaldson, and like I would love for him to get into podcasting. So like I think he'd be great at
Dude,
it.
because watching the live stream during the postseason, the guy needs to be on there because you can see how angry he was getting with calls and situational stuff, base running things.
Yeah.
Needs to get one.
That's how, like, I mean, during the postseason, we obviously did the live streams, and Donaldson, like, we had him on once, and then after that, he would just like text me and be like, "Dude, get me on." Like something would happen in the game, and he'd be like, "Send me the link." Like he wanted it, and I was like, "That's exactly like what we need." But you know, starting 9, maybe someday he's a part of it. Yeah, but like Donaldson is great. I mean, I love interviewing Christian Yelich. Like that's a dude that I never have to do any prep for. I can just like show up, and then you know we're good to go, and we can do like 45 minutes. And
isn't that great? Where there's no prep. Like honestly, I didn't need to do all this notes. I know enough about you from following you. I didn't need any of it. Like I don't need anything for KFC when I get him on. I'll never need it. There's certain people that I like. I had Francis Ellis on, my first guest a while back. I needed a little background, just like early, like Harvard stuff, whatever. But like, I didn't really need to know much about him either.
Yeah.
But it's about the relationships. Like I don't know you, but like, I feel like I know you, which is a lot how all these Red Sox fans must feel when they meet you at Fenway Park.
That's
with you and Yelich,
crazy.
Yeah, with you and Yelich, the relationship, you can definitely tell it's more than just another interview. It's like it's a nice friendship. Like you and Donaldson are the same way.
Yeah, like Yelich. I mean, I've known him forever. Like now it's probably like
Marlin days too.
Yeah.
Oh, right, you came to the office a couple times, right?
Yeah, we started following each other on Twitter like 2015, maybe.
Okay, so you're in Barstool already.
Yeah, we started following each other, and I think he was probably just like a Barstool fan, like paying attention to like who was like a baseball person at Barstool.
Sure.
And he followed me, and I was like, "Yeah, I know who this dude is." And like I followed him back, and then we kind of just like became friends. And like when the Jose Fernandez stuff happened, like I remember like talking to him like the night that they played their first game after Jose Fernandez died. I remember like talking to him being like, I don't know how you guys just did that. Like, I don't know how you guys went out on the field and just played a baseball game. So yeah,
he responded back to you. He was talking. See, that I think to me automatically tells me that he's a very good friend of yours. Yeah. Because I mean, like they don't want to talk to. I mean, I'm sure Chris Yelich didn't want to talk to anybody after that.
Right.
And the fact that you guys had a rapport after this horrible accident, I guess means a lot to you. It probably was like a wake up call. It's like, all right, I think we're like actually good friends now.
Yeah. I mean, he's one of those dudes where like he's quiet, confident, like he knows he's good, but he's humble at the same time. And it was cool to like watch his come up where like, yeah, he was a good outfielder with the Marlins, but then when he goes to the Brewers and he wins an MVP, I mean, it wasn't like he just like starts like big time people because it's like, oh, I'm an MVP. It was like, it was the same Christian Yelich, like the same dude, like quiet, mild-mannered dude, humble, chill, like a typical Cali guy. And I mean, like if there's anyone that I'm like super happy for their personal success, like it's him. Like he deserves every ounce of the success that he's had, and I hope that he continues to have even more success. But yeah, like that was really cool to go from like, oh, here's a dude that plays Major League. He was probably like one of like the first non-Red Sox players that followed me that I knew who they were, and I was like, oh, that's cool. I was like, I know who that is. And And then, and then we've just like developed this relationship over time. But with Josh Donaldson, I mean, I loved him with the Blue Jays, like before I knew him. Like I love right-handed hitters that mash homers. So I was a
And
big
pimped
fan
him
of
too.
his.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Like I was a big fan of his in Toronto. And then, when I started working with Dallas, I think Josh took notice of that because they were teammates in Oakland. And then like we followed each other and we just like started like talking bullshitting or whatever. And then when we interviewed him, it was just great. Like he's a dude that like he gets the shtick and he's gonna bullshit with you and like you guys can talk shit to each other back and forth. Like I can't think of any example off the top of my head, but like actually it kind of happened with Brian Wilson at first when we first started doing like
geez, that guy's a lunatic, dude.
Yeah, he's the best, but like you could tell like the first few episodes of the Starting Nine digital show where he might have thought the dynamic was going to be like, I'm the baseball player, you're the nerd baseball, like whatever, like broadcaster guy. So like we're going to dunk on you, but like you can't dunk on us back. And then when I was doing it back, he was like, whoa. But like eventually, like now, like when he was doing the live streams, like now, like we have a friendship, like we can shit on each other. But at first, I think he was a little taken aback, like of like, oh, like me and Dallas are the baseball players. This guy's like the nerd studio host, and we're just gonna make fun of him because he didn't play baseball. But
when you can separate that with somebody, and the thing is with Starting Nine and Barstool in general, people want to do podcasts at Barstool because it is a place where you can just be yourself and laid back. It's not your most traditional interview. You guys are talking about, not, the ins and outs of the game. Of course you are, but then you talk about just the bullshit stuff, the funny moments, or you're just bullshitting about anything. And I think that's, and also not having, restrictions on what you can say is also definitely an easier thing for you, and also makes the content even better. And then that's where it goes with the Top Golf video with Yelich and Eric Dames and Travis Shaw. There's the you're doing the sit down interview at Stroman's mansion in Tampa. That house is insane. He's got a house in like Utah too. So like the guy is just
he's all
loaded all over the place. So I think that's like the cool aspect of the show too. And then you have the white whale, which I know who the white whale is, and I have his Pirates jersey. I was gonna wear it, but I decided not to wear it.
Look at that.
Bonds. Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Dude, it is. I will absolutely say that is a fake jersey. It absolutely is.
That's all right.
Yeah, but this one, Alex Gordon, baby blue, 100% real. I got Levin Longoria World Series edition real. I got a couple other ones in there, but that's the guy. Barry Bonds.
That's the guy.
That's the guy, or I'm sure Mike Trout is too, but Barry Bonds is the guy to you. That's the white whale. If when you get it, because I know it's going to happen, you got to tell me like where's the ideal place to do it. Is it in the dugout at I don't know. Is it called AT&T Park still? They might have changed
Oracle.
it, right? Oracle, right. I still call it AT&T. Would it be in the dugout? Would it be like where would you want to do it at? Headquarters in Barstool, or
no?
What would the questions be?
I wouldn't. I would go anywhere in the world to interview Barry. Like if he was like, hey, I'm a hitting coach for this professional team in Australia, and I really want to do the podcast. So if you guys can get here, let's do it. And I'd be like, all right, I'm on the next 18-hour flight to Sydney, Australia. Yeah. I would go anywhere, but like I would take it if that's the only where I could get it was HQ, but I don't want it to be at HQ because then he's going to do the car wash. Like Barry,
right.
The interview with me, but then he would do the interview with Pardon My Take and maybe KFC Radio, and then he goes on like Barstool Breakfast, and then he goes and does the rundown. He does a pizza review. So
and then you could get him at like the fourth podcast, and he's worn out.
Yeah,
you don't want that.
Yeah. So I would love to like do it at his house, do it at a ballpark, do it literally anywhere but the office. Because I would want the extra time with him too. Like I would want, like, depending, like if he had like an hour, I would use every second of that hour to do the interview. And I mean, like the thing about like my interviewing style is that I don't really map them out. Like I
You just let
have
it
a
go.
question. Yeah, I have a question that I want to start with, and then wherever it goes, it goes. Because like I'll know enough about the subject to where if they say something, I can pivot to something else, or I can ask a question based off what they said, or
That's
like
how everything
reference a
should be
point in
done.
history. Yeah.
That's how podcasting should be done, which is frankly, all of Barstool. That's how they kind of map it out. There is sometimes you map out an interview, but you kind of let it go with the flow. But would you ask him the sensitive topics, the steroid allegations, all that stuff? I mean, would you say it?
I mean, you can't.
I feel like
not,
it's not. Yeah, I feel like it's obvious. You have to talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, you can't not touch it, but like you have to do it in a certain way. Like you can't be like,
Oh yeah,
yeah. So did you take steroids? Like no, it's more
Right.
just like do you feel that you've been made to be a scapegoat, just because like you were the best of the best? Like there's many people who have had PEDs linked to them because there
shout
was
out Pudge. I mean, Pudge clearly
right.
that's a guy. Piazza's been rumored to it, and they're
Piazza wrote in his book that he took steroids.
right. And then like Pudge is like clear, like almost obvious that like he
Yeah.
I think he took it.
I mean, Jose Canseco, I'm pretty sure, said that he injected Pudge. So like Jose Canseco is yet to lie about any of this, but
Right.
I think it is like an unfair scapegoating type deal because a lot of guys took it, but like he just happened to be the most talented. So because he was the most talented, he becomes the poster boy for it. Like steroids made his career, when that's just, like, did they help? Sure, allegedly. But with Barry, I'm sure he has a lot of things to say that I'm sure he's just been sitting on. I mean, like the whole Bryce Harper interview, that was like a perfect example of like what we can help do for players where they're just sitting on these thoughts and they have nowhere to put them because they don't have someone that they trust that they can talk to. And
Right.
I don't know that I'm going to have the opportunity to build a relationship with Barry before we sit down and have an interview. But like Bryce was someone that we got to know each other for a few months and like we talked regularly enough to where it's like, this is someone that I trust. And then the interview ended up being 2 hours and he wanted to keep going, but we were like, yeah, we don't want to take up too much of your time, man. Like you gave us plenty of time. So yeah, I mean, like I think with Barry, I would obviously handle it in a way that would make him comfortable because like I'm not out to get him. I'm out to like show the world that Barry is misunderstood and that he has great stories that have yet to been like told on the record because I mean, where is he going to like, the media is just like out to get him. Like, where can you go where someone is just going to be like, yeah, we know all the bad stuff. Let's talk about the good stuff. There is a lot of good stuff. So,
Yeah, I mean, and that's like almost interviewing 101. It's like how to get to the topic that almost everyone wants to hear about, but without making the person you're interviewing either uncomfortable, annoyed, pissed off, want to leave. And it's an art form. It absolutely is. I mean, people can say, "Oh, you're just talking." Like, nah, dude. You gotta like somehow squeeze it in, low key, in a conversation, and it just kind of works out. And whenever like I've had I had a couple times where I wanted to ask something and I kind of was told not to, but I kind of like almost did it anyway, but I maneuvered it in a way where it worked out and it killed. And he actually said it. Like I interviewed Craig Carton, recently my last podcast. And then, I had 25 minutes. That was the time I had. And I wanted to ask a couple questions about the gambling stuff, him losing everything. And I just said one thing about just getting a second chance. And that's all I said. And then he went into it. And I was very nervous to ask something so sensitive because he went on WEI not too long ago.
that.
Dude, I'm like, how do you answer that? How do you ask that question? And, I do watch, I learn a lot from you and how to interview and how to ask certain questions and when it's kind of sensitive stuff. If it's, there's a lot of examples, but that's the amazing thing about how you interview people. And I think when you interview Bonds, it's going to be a walk in the park, around the bases. It's going to be easy.
Yeah.
It's going to be sick. And I think Trout is going to be a guy that I think will come on the pod eventually, I think, for you guys.
I hope so.
My last question for starting nine, then we'll get into some baseball topics here. Goals for starting nine in 2021. If you can say it, I know there's maybe some hints of new stuff you might be putting out, whatever you can tell me in the listeners / viewers on the podcast.
Yeah. I mean, I've got like maybe 3 new shows that I think I'm going to be putting out in 2021 that are video shows.
Really?
Yeah. I'm going to be doing, I think 3 new video shows, maybe even like 4. Like I've got a lot of stuff where it's like, all right, here's the idea. Here's how we're going to do it. And it's just a matter of like executing it. And
is it Morning Wood style where it's like very short, compact kind of stuff, or is it long feature?
Yeah. Like one of them, because I mean, I threw a tweet out there about one of them. I was like, we did like the Shane Bieber Cy Young documentary, and I was like, I want to do this with other players, but like over a full season. And
I'll cover one guy or cover
one guy, but like different episodes. So it's like we would film this year with multiple players and then put them out like next off season or something like that.
Sure.
And a bunch of guys, like big name players, were interested in doing it. So like that was one idea. That would be a little bit more like a long form type deal. And then I have like 3 other shows or show ideas that I kind of like pitched to like Barstool, and they're like, all right, let's do it. So, I mean, that's in addition to Morning Wood. So like we'll have like the docu series with players if that works out because the pandemic. Right. The 3 other show ideas that I had, Morning Wood, Section 10, Starting 9, CCK, and then the Crime Dogs podcast with Kevin that we might be, I mean, we talked about it last week about doing or starting that. So that's 9
one
shows.
of the new shows you want to do?
No, that's 9. And
Dude,
then
you're sick.
And then I have another one where they've been negotiating for months. Like
now those new shows, are those pandemic, with the pandemic and how COVID works out, that determines on the shows, or these can be remotely?
No, I can do all of them remote. I mean, like the one with Kevin, I know we want to do in person because we want to like incorporate like a YouTube type, I guess, layer to it where we like make videos for like the crime episodes. But everything else, I mean, I can do at my studio here. So,
okay. Nice.
Yeah, but if everything works out, I'll have 10 shows total.
Do you sleep? Because like that's like fucking 10 shows.
Plus 11. I do the Kirk Minahan show. I do that once a week now. So I'm officially a part of the Kirk Minahan universe. So 11 shows.
I'll ask you some other questions off air that I'm very interested about that stuff. I don't know if you can even talk about on here, but like that's incredible. 11 shows potentially.
Potentially 11 shows. If everything pans
insane.
Out, 11. Yeah.
Well, success is coming no matter what.
We'll see.
But let's talk baseball now. Start off. Now I want you to legit get unfiltered. You've been unfiltered so far, but I really want you to get emotions filled.
Okay.
I want to see it. What's going to happen with the 2021 Red Sox? What is your outlook on the season, the division? Because look, I mean, the Yankees are stacked. We all know that, right? The Yankees are stacked.
They?
Oh, hold on. I actually want to reel it back before. One more question about Pablo Sandoval. You've had rough patches with Drew Pomeranz. You don't like Aaron Judge. You can rattle off some guys, but the Pablo Sandoval relationship is it's never been there.
No. Yeah,
I want you to tell me how much you hate the guy.
I don't even dislike Judge. I think he's awesome when he's healthy, but I just know how triggered Yankee fans get when you like point out that he's never healthy. Like they talk about him like he's a god, but it's like he's
When he plays it healthy, when
God,
he's
if you're
healthy,
not
he's
on the field.
ridiculous.
Yeah, but he's never healthy. And I'll say that, and they'll get so upset. And like, anytime that I ever talk about the Yankees, I usually just say factual things, and that upsets them because they don't like to face reality. Like, I'll never just like throw an opinion out there that can't be based in fact. But you know, it's very easy with Yankee fans to get them all riled up. But Pablo, yeah, no, I've always hated Pablo. I don't think he's a good person, and it was even worse that he was terrible with the Red Sox and just
Like, you
stole
didn't like the
95 million.
signing when he did it, when the
No.
Sox signed him after coming
No.
off the World Series, Giants. He's this incredible postseason player.
Yeah, there was because I know the people have tried to like fact check me on this. They were probably like, "Oh, you probably loved the signing when it happened," but there are tweets from that offseason where someone like tweeted me and they were like, "Who do you want for third base next year?" And like I did like a power rankings, and it was like Josh Donaldson, Chase Headley, Hanley Ramirez, and then
Dude, you
Pablo
want
was
to
my
chase
fourth.
Headley over. I mean, Headley at the time was like was that the
He
year?
was just
Wasn't that the
coming
year?
off like the
Yeah,
119 runs
yeah, led the
batted
league in
in.
RBIs, right?
Yeah,
That one year
yeah.
where he went off.
Yeah. So even still, it's like I would have taken Chase Headley over Pablo, knowing how like Headley's career went after that. But yeah, no, Pablo was an absolute disaster. I didn't like him as a person. I had heard like so many stories about him where I was like, this dude sucks. And then just like the disrespect of showing up to spring training even more overweight. And then when asked about it, he said he had nothing to prove. And it's like, dude, the Red Sox just gave you
it's bad,
$95 million. 2015, you had your worst statistical year of your entire career, and it was year one with the Red Sox. Like it's your first impression with a new fan base, and you're like, yeah, I have nothing to prove. No, you have everything to prove. And
Right.
he had just the worst attitude, terrible player, terrible person, and I just didn't let him off the hook. And
Liking
like,
bikini pictures in the middle of games.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
not
I
good.
mean, with you mentioned like the freedom to say whatever you want. I took that freedom with Pablo, and I think that he just was not used to that. Like someone that actually had like a big platform saying
Sure.
the things that I was saying. Yeah, he wasn't ready for that.
That that would be an all-time sit-down interview if it ever happened. Because everyone knows the bad blood between you and him.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be insane. Because
Yeah, I would do it. I don't think he would, but I would.
Oh, of course. I mean, content. It'd be great.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember Miguel Sano in 2018. He was very overweight. Like, he was a big dude, and
Mm-hmm.
he needed to prove a little bit. He's this the big name prospect, and he couldn't really get it done. And I remember he got sent down to legit lose weight, and there was, I think, a story didn't surface, but throughout the Twins like beat writers and like some of the guys in the radio where I was working in, there was a story that he ate a full pizza pie in the middle of a game when he DH'd. He would when he wasn't at bat, he'd go downstairs in the clubhouse and eat pizza. There was one time when he got sent down, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, this guy needs to lose weight and needs to
He's
get
a
his act together.
mountain of a human being too. By
Oh,
the
I
way.
know. I've seen him up close and personal. I mean, when I saw him in 2018, he was thick, fat, but now he's gotten his act together. He's mashing homers. Lost a lot of weight. But let's get back to the whole Red Sox thing. 2021. Will they recover from last year? And the pitching staff, God, that was one of the worst pitching staffs the Red Sox have had in a long time, which you can't even argue that.
No, it was terrible.
No, terrible. You had, was it Martin Perez was the guy?
He was all right. He was better than Garrett Cole at points.
I don't know if I can agree with that one. I mean,
we were like 75% of the way through the season, and Martin Perez had a lower ERA than Garrett Cole. That's just a fact.
See, I should have been prepared with more statistics in front of me because I don't know that statistic offhand. I'd have to hit you back up after the interview to look that up.
Please do.
Yeah, I will. But look, I mean, they have, they still have the hitters. Sale's coming back. When is he coming back? Is he
June,
July, like Syndergaard too? Will they be at the level of the Rays and honestly, yes, the Yankees and the Blue Jays are also be the surprising team next year as well.
I just looked it up. August 26th.
Fuck.
After giving up 3 monster home runs today, Garrett Cole's ERA is now higher than Martin Perez's. Perez would have the lowest ERA in the Yankees rotation.
Is this a tweet by you?
Yep.
What day? What was it like?
August 26th.
All right. I mean, clearly I can't argue. You looked at the stats. So
Stats
I
are
will
stats.
argue when I know, like, I'm valid. Like, I know what I'm talking about. I do know what I'm talking about. That I
You
know.
do.
That I know.
Yeah. It's just, when you're covering the entire league like an unbiased national baseball journalist does, then
Clearly unbiased. Absolutely.
yeah, clearly. And you cover all the teams instead of just one team. And those are just things that you pay attention to. And I just happened to notice that. But yeah, the Red Sox rotation was absolute trash. I think the Yankees are going to have similar problems this year because they literally only have Garrett Cole. Like, I don't think the Yankees realize that Garrett Cole can't pitch every game. The Yankees rotation right now, if the season started today, is Garrett Cole. Maybe Jordan Montgomery's in there too. Like, can he?
I hate that dude so freaking much, man. The guy gets rocked all the time.
That's all right. He's your number 2 starter right now.
No, whenever Severino gets back, he'll be our 2.
He's dead. He's not pitching.
Well, I don't think he's dead, but
he's dead.
But
last
the thing
time
is,
he was seen was halfway through 2018.
Yeah, I do miss him a lot. I really do, because when
great.
he's on, he's lights out. The thing is with the Yankees, is like it all has to revolve around LeMahieu, right? And this whole signing, if they don't sign LeMahieu, then they can maybe go get Tanaka back, and if they really feel like getting sign Paxton back, I feel like they should, because there's not a lot of options. There's Garcia, who's there, who can be a 3 as of right now. But like the whole LeMahieu thing is pissing me off as a Yankee fan, and I'm sure all the Yankee fans are pissed off as well. It's like what was it, a couple weeks ago? They said that how big of a gap the money gap was for the signing. It was like $25 million in when it comes to negotiating.
Mm-hmm.
That's troubling. Like, there's never been a point in time in my lifetime where the Yankees have had tough times with money.
They hate to see that.
You hate to see it. It fucking
really
pisses
do.
me off, dude. It's all
really
Stanton's fault. It's all the money goes to him and Garrett Cole. That's what it is.
Yeah, I mean,
you have to like
$600 million between 2 players. So it's tough.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot, and
a lot of money.
I saw rumors yesterday of a Benny Biceps trade rumor.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts on that?
I don't think it makes sense to sell low on him unless there is a team that really, really likes him and sees the upside that I see. I mean, I still think that he's capable of being an all-star caliber outfielder, but I don't see the point in trying to just get rid of him. I think he's making like $6.5 million or something like that. It's not like
no money at all.
Yeah, he's not like they're already, I think, like $40 million under the luxury tax, so it's not like that's an issue. Unless you can like get something of actual value for him, I really don't see the point in weakening your outfield even more, because you don't have Jackie Bradley Jr. either.
Like, would this trade mean that they're another rebuilding year? Because they're trading a starting left fielder for them, who's a middle of the order guy. I mean, and will they be getting major league ready players, or will they get prospects only?
Yeah, I mean, if you trade Andrew Benintendi, you're definitely not getting like a major league ready player back.
Right. And that means to me, they're kind of rebuilding then.
No. Yeah, I don't think they're I don't think that it's like a rebuild as more as it's just like, I don't know. It's just such a weird transition phase that they're in, because you could make the case that next year they could have like a top 5 offense in baseball. Like, they led the league in hits last year. They were a last place team.
Pretty wild.
Yeah, like their offense is great. It's one of the best in baseball, but they had no pitching. And I think, you have a situation where Eduardo Rodriguez was out for the whole year because of COVID, and Chris Sale was out because of Tommy John. You get those 2 guys back, and then maybe you hit on some of these veteran guys. Like you could sign Corey Kluber. He might be decent for you. Jake Odorizzi, you could sign him. He might be decent for you. I think you could definitely like plug up some holes with these veteran guys. And I think that that's kind of what they're going to try to do, is go like the inexpensive veteran route to kind of get you over to like that next core.
And it's such a weird thing because it's a weird, awkward stage that the Red Sox are in because they have all this offensive talent, JD and Bogarts and Devers. I mean, that right then and there, like 3 monster hitters. And losing Jackie Bradley is going to be a loss, one on the fan base. I mean, he's one of the most loved guys on that team. And 2, I think the best defensive center field in the game. It's just a weird situation that they're in. But the Mets, on the other hand, are in the complete opposite. They get Lindor, they get Cookie, Carrasco, they get those 2 guys, they get McCann, Trevor May, they re-sign Stroman. They are in the driver's seat to definitely compete top 5 team to go to the World Series. But with Lindor's trade and the extension coming, we talked about, I was on the air with you and Kevin the other day about it, saying you disagree that Cohen won't give him the extension within like a week. And I totally disagree. I think they got to lock that in right away. Or
I'm not saying that's not in the plans. I'm just saying if I'm Francisco Lindor, I am tempted to play out this season and see what I get in free agency. Just because you traded for me doesn't mean that like I don't owe you anything. Like I just got here. I don't even know you guys. So, I mean, you could
even with a free agency next year, even with a shortstop free agency, how stacked it is next year. You don't think he would want
he's the weak link? Like he's
definitely not.
Top dogs. Yeah, he would still be one of those guys. I mean, it might be the Mets that come back and are like, yeah, we want to extend you. I mean, or we want to like sign you in free agency. I don't think that like if you see what other guys are getting, because it's like you're gonna have benchmarks out there. If you're Francisco Lindor, like Bogarts might be out there, Story's out there, Correa's out there. So you see what all these other guys are getting, and then like, what if you look at your extension with the Mets and you're like, oh, I could have gotten how much more? So it's not a matter of like, oh, I don't want to stay with the Mets, but you want to get what the market dictates. Then I don't know. I just don't see. Yes, the Mets are probably going to make a concerted effort to extend Francisco Lindor. I just don't know how tempted I would be to get that done if I'm Francisco Lindor.
Interesting. And there's also the situation with Springer, because for some reason I from just how my brain's working, I don't know. I don't see how it's possible with money wise, if there was an option of extending him Lindor now and then spending what Springer wants, 175 million.
He's not worth that.
I don't think he's worth that either. I think I was thinking 150, maybe a little less, 125 maybe. He's one of the better leadoff hitters in the game. Great postseason guy. I just feel like they can go get a Jackie Bradley Jr., save a lot of money, and get a top dog in the outfield, and you can leave Conforto and right, because we all know he's not a true center fielder. And you can fucking even keep Nimmo, who's still works. So I don't know.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I don't know where. I mean, I guess if you're Toronto, go ahead.
I see that too.
And sign Springer, but like if I'm the Mets and I have 175 to spend on Springer, I would just pony up the extra cash to sign Bauer.
Right.
Like, who makes you better right now? Like, who makes you better guaranteed right now, Bauer or Springer? Like, they can say that, oh, no, we have plenty of pitching. It's like, you can never have enough pitching, and the dude just won the Cy Young Award. Like, who's making a bigger impact on your team today, Trevor Bauer or George Springer? And it's Trevor Bauer.
I totally agree. And with Tatis, the rumor came out yesterday that Padres are going to be extending him. The rumors, 11 years, $320 million. You tweeted out, I would sign him for freaking 30 years, and I can't agree more. Agree more.
Mm-hmm.
Will 320 be the number from what you've maybe heard?
From
I've
what
heard 300, 320.
I've heard that these rumors aren't even true.
Get the fuck out of here. I heard I saw from verified people. I don't want to shout out names.
Yeah. Josh Heyman had the tweet. I heard that it's not even true. I heard that
I saw someone say pen to paper. It's that close.
Yeah. I saw the tweets and I saw the reports, but then I was told that it just wasn't even true. So I don't know what to believe. I don't know.
It's super interesting.
I don't know these people, like the people that told me that it's not even close. It's like, I don't know them all too well. So I wasn't going to throw a tweet out there and be like, oh, by the way, I'm refuting these reports that came out about this extension. Like they're false. Like I wasn't confident enough to do that, but that is what I heard. I heard that like, it's not even really true.
To wrap up the baseball talk, and then I have two really fun questions right at the end, and then we'll wrap this up. Quick rapid fire, early 2021 baseball predictions.
Okay.
World Series champion.
World Series champions in 2021.
Yeah.
The Atlanta Braves.
Woo!
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Why?
I think.
So what have they all only done? They only got Morton, right? So far.
They got Morton, but they've essentially lost Ozuna because I don't think they're going to bring him back.
I don't think so either.
But I think like Ian Anderson taking like that next step and
Huge.
yeah, I think not that like Morton's the guy that gets them over the hump. It's more so the guys that they already have getting better.
True. Yeah.
So yeah, and then you also have like you're getting Morton, and you're also getting Soroka back. They didn't have Soroka.
That's big. So you have a nice four: Fried, Anderson, Soroka, and Morton, and then you have a full 162. Hopefully, I don't know. They might be pushing back the season a little bit of Freddie Freeman. So that's a full season of Freddie Freeman and a full season of Acuna and full seasons of Swanson. You have all these guys.
Yeah,
that is just a full, hopefully maybe 150, whatever the outcome's going to be. But I like that.
I like the Braves.
Which team will surprise you the most next season?
Which team will surprise me the most next season? You know what? I'm gonna say Tampa Bay because I think everyone thinks because they're like offloading some of their top talent that it's just like, oh, they're not a threat anymore. And I think they're still going to be a threat because they're Tampa Bay and that's just what they do.
I would say to a lot of people, Wander Franco is coming to town soon.
Yeah.
That big motherfucker's coming to town. He should not be a shortstop. He's too big. I think he's a monster. I think he should play a corner, but I mean, that guy is going to mash 30-30 next season if he comes up right away.
He's a beast. He's the top prospect in baseball for a reason.
Yeah, for a reason. Absolutely.
Yeah, give me Tampa Bay as the surprise team. Everyone's like, oh, they're selling off all their pieces. They're dead. No, I don't think they are.
Biggest disappointment team-wise?
Biggest disappointment team-wise?
So biggest surprise will be the Rays, World Series champion Braves. Who's going to disappoint you the most?
I don't know why. Like the Padres came to mind just because they have so much hype that it would be disappointing if they didn't at least get like deep into the NLCS or the World Series. So I think like they have the potential to be the most disappointing, but I don't think they're going to be disappointing, if that makes sense. Like if they don't get to like game 6 or game 7 of the NLCS, like bare minimum, I will be greatly disappointed. Like you can't do less than that. So the bar is high for them. So like, yeah, I would say probably the Padres. Yeah. Like I want them to do well and I think that they will, but there is all like the threshold for disappointment is for sure there.
If I had to say my biggest disappointment, I think it's unfortunately, I think the Reds could be have a rough season because I think they're not going to resign Bauer. And
they're going to sell off. They're probably going to trade Castillo by the time the season, the off season, and Sonny Gray too. They're going to be dismantled. Yeah. It sucks.
Yeah, it sucks. And what they had, I think. I had the Reds. I think going. If I wrote a blog, like my predictions. I think I had the Reds in the NLCS. I think. Yeah. I thought their team on paper is disgusting. Their bullpen with Amir Garrett and their rotation, the offense with Votto. I think
they traded Iglesias too.
Right. So I feel like they had a strong team. Last question for baseball. Who will break out next season that will shock you? Like it's just out of nowhere. and be like this big star that no one really saw coming?
I mean, I don't think it would be that much of a surprise, but like this guy, people don't put him in the same sentence as like Tatis and like Acuna and Soto yet. Like the super young, super talent, but
Sure.
Bo Bichette.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Like we're seeing like 30-30 kind of stuff, 25-25.
Like we're in August and we're looking at the MVP voting and we're seeing like where could like this player end up in the mix, and like we're going to be talking about Bo Bichette.
All right, you know what? I'm going to clipping this whole little segment here, put it in the back pocket, bring it out at the end of the year, see if you're right. Last couple things here. A game I've played only once, and it's worked out really well. Some guy that actually liked it was KFC. I actually liked it a lot. I'm going to open your phone, Instagram. I'm going to DM you a couple of your own Instagram photos or videos, and you're going to tell me a story about it. So I'm doing like a little deep dive in the minds of Jared Carrabis and his experience doing whatever you do on Instagram. So all right. So first one here. Look up on your phone. First one here. This was posted November 1st, 2018, but the day was October 31st, 2018. It's a video of you absolutely bombed out of your mind on the boat with JD Martinez celebrating with Devers. Take me through that day. Tell me about it.
I mean, it was the best day of my life. I mean, I got the pictures right here. Those are them right there. That's me bombed out of my life. It was a great experience. I was very intoxicated.
Very
you can see it in my eyes. I'm covered in beer.
Yeah, and this is like another photo of you. This is the real one that I wanted to share with you. There's just
that's that one right there.
Yeah, you chugging.
Yep. That was it was cool. I mean, I don't think you can have a better story than that as a Red Sox fan. Like, my favorite team won the World Series, and then they asked me to be on the duck boat in the parade, and
it just doesn't happen.
No, it doesn't. And like I've talked about this a bunch of times about how like you know, I think a lot of people turned on me that year because of like how over the top I was by celebrating it. But I was like, none of this was handed to me, dude. Like I needed to work my ass off for so long to put myself in a position to be able to do that. I didn't win a contest. I didn't get randomly selected. It was like, no, if this is going to happen to like any dude that wasn't on the team, it's going to be that dude. And that doesn't come without years and years and years of working to put yourself in that position. So I enjoyed every second of it, and I don't regret a single second of it, clearly, because every day when I'm sitting up here, it's like that's my reminder of like, if you work your ass off, like this is what can happen. So best day of my life.
Best day. Next one. We'll do two more here. This is just one example of the many things you did over the pandemic. Rocket, paper, scissors.
Yep.
There's a million different. I think your record was 11-34.
Something like that. Yeah. It was
your
bad.
First 6 matches of rocket, paper, scissors, you won 2 games, and then you went on to lose 30 straight.
Yep.
Something that I think everyone watching wanted you to lose. Everyone and I mean, these videos, there's tons, and I'll be putting them in the videos, like a short little clip here. But take me through like the idea, like where did you think of this? I think if I can remember how like the whole competition of the rock, paper, scissors, was it with Blattman?
We used to do rock, paper, scissors in the old office, and I would go down. So like on the second floor, that's where we did the Snapchat videos. And then next to we called it the take chamber. Next to the take chamber was where the producer's office was. So like I would go in there to hang out with Bryn, and then I became friends with all the producers. And like at the end of the day, we would play rock, paper, scissors against each other. So like it became like a thing. And then during quarantine, they were like, yeah, we don't have any sports, but you guys are gonna have to get creative to make some content. So I thought, I was like, all right, well, these guys, they want to do something competitive. I was like, what can we do? Like, we're all just like stuck at home, and like I have like all these like players in my phone, but I was like, I don't want to do like interviews because that's like what the podcast is for. It's like, so how do we like do something that's different? And then I was like, hey, do you want to play rock, paper, scissors? And I think like when I asked, like the wagers became like the central part of the show. Like originally I was just going to like play people and like see who won. But then when I asked Millar, I was like, hey, do you want to do this? And he's like, all right, what's the wager?
Oh, of course Millar is the one to do the betting, right?
Yeah. He's like, what's the wager? And I was like, I don't know. I haven't thought about it. So once he said, what's the wager? I was like, I guess it would be interesting if we had like unique wagers for every single one of them. And then we ended up doing that. But yeah, no, I was bad. I lost a lot, but people
How many
thought I
have
was
you fulfilled?
purpose.
Right.
Just one, because most of them involve being out in the world,
Right.
or like being at baseball games. But yeah, people were saying that I was losing on purpose, and I was like, if I can lose on purpose, that means that I know what's coming to make the decision to lose. So why wouldn't I just win to get all these things? Like,
Yeah,
you don't think
there
I
were some pretty
wanted to do
serious
these things?
bets there. There were some pretty serious outcomes.
Yeah, like, you don't think I wanted to be included in a Hall of Fame speech? Like, that would have been awesome. Like,
Sick.
yeah,
Yeah.
there were a bunch of them where I was like, yeah, I'd love to be able to have what this person wagered, but like I lost, so now I don't have it.
The last one here is, I would say, an all-time clip for a lot of people. You posted this on October 23rd, 2019. It is a little IGTV video of you and Alex Bregman.
Mm-hmm.
The video consists of him going yard off you in wiffle ball.
Yeah.
Take me through that and getting him to actually do it, because I know you guys did an interview before that. It was a good interview. Take me through the process of doing, because you were doing wiffle ball with actually some other fans that were just coming up and doing it with you guys, but then you got Bregman to do it with you.
Yeah, I almost killed a guy. So I didn't know Bregman really. I mean, he came on starting 9 at the end of 2017. Like when the Astros won the World Series, he came on starting 9 after that. But like we didn't follow each other after. We didn't like keep in touch or message each other. He just did the interview, and then we both kind of kept it moving.
Right.
But in 2018, the Red Sox were playing the Astros in the postseason, and Bregman posted like the video of like the Astros hitting like back-to-back home runs off Nathan Eovaldi.
Right.
Like and the caption was like studying game film or something like that, and he was obviously trolling. So once he made himself an enemy to the Red Sox, then I just kind of honed in on him, and I just went after him on like social media during the series. And he later admitted that he was like, no, I saw all of it, and it got in my head. So anyone, like I'll get people like on Twitter, they're like, do you think that like these players actually care what you're saying about them? And I'm like, yeah, no, they do. They
Clearly,
they definitely care. So then I think like we were talking about Bregman on CCK, and it was after the World Series was over, and he must have been listening, and he called into the show from his car. So like we just started like that. Yeah, we were going at it on CCK, and then we ended up following each other. And then that turned into the interview in spring training, which was great. Like we met each other, and like obviously like we're buddy.
Right.
And then like I challenged him to wiffle ball, and I got a swing and miss, and he got a homer.
What can you do? You can't win them all.
What can you do?
What can you do?
And everyone like makes the joke of like, oh, well, did he know it was coming? It's like, he did, because I told him I was only going to throw fastballs. Like I didn't throw any sliders, nothing off speed. I only threw him fastballs. So yes, he did know what was coming when he hit that home run.
Has your relationship changed at all with him, with the cheating scandal? Because I know you. I mean, you weren't fond of that whole thing. Like a lot of people weren't happy with how they did it and how they cheated.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't think our relationship. I think if anything, like, we kind of got closer because I think when something like that happens, I think you find out like who your real friends are, and like, I didn't ask him for details. I didn't ask him for stories. I would just kind of ask him like, "Hey, like, are you doing okay?" Like, when the whole
Interesting.
world fucking hates you and people are saying horrible things about you and discrediting everything that you've ever accomplished in your life, like, that can probably do a lot to you from a mental standpoint. So like, as a friend, like, I would just check in to see how he's doing, but like, I don't care to like know any information. Like, if you don't offer it up to me unsolicited, like, I'm not going to go digging for that. So I think if anything, I think it like improved the relationship.
That's a really interesting way of looking at it. Because I know you were pissed about it. It's obvious. Everyone was pissed about it. But when you have a friend that's involved in it, it's kind of, I guess there is a different way of
It was
looking at
weird.
it.
It was weird.
Sure,
It
it's
was
very awkward.
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, when you have like, people like, obviously I came at Carlos Correa hard for like how he handled it and everything. And
Dude, he
everyone's like,
handled
but
like a
you won't.
jackass. He handled
Yeah,
it terrible.
yeah, he brought that all on himself. But like, when people are like, "Oh, you won't say anything about Bregman," it's like, well, yeah, no, I won't. Like, I'm not going to. Like,
Right.
because I mean, there's things that like people be like, well, you didn't come at him the same way you came at Correa, and it's like, well, yeah, I don't like Correa. Like, it's as simple as that.
Simple.
Yeah.
Last one. This one I've done with every guest. I would say like the last like 8 or 9 guests I've had. Do you know the famous photo of LeBron James, D Wade, Gabrielle Union, and is it Chris Bosh on a banana boat? They're like on vacation. I know like PMT's talked about it a bunch of times. If I can maybe pull it up, some people might not know what it is. It's a very like comical, like very funny photo. And I always ask who would be on your banana boat with you.
Okay.
Banana
So
boat.
how many spots
crew.
do I have?
There's 4. So like if all right, here we go.
Do I get to pick 3 people?
So if you can see it come out,
Okay.
like you kind of see it, right? It's just
Yeah.
blurred in. So it's they're on. It was like a weird awkward photo. They all have like life vest on, and they're on this gigantic banana boat on vacation. So I've asked Carton, Ashley Brewer, Jessica Kleinschmidt the same questions. They've always given me amazing answers. So you could have anybody, dead, alive, family, guests you've had, favorite players. I think I have one in my head that you might have on there. And also, maybe I could be wrong. I don't know. So if you had to pick, who would be on your banana boat? So it's you and 3 others.
Me. Man. I feel like I'd have to pick Dallas.
Okay. All right.
He would get mad if I didn't pick him. I would want to pick.
You gotta pick like a crew you would like. It's gonna be a sick crew to party with. You're like, imagine like you're in Cabo in the water and you're on a banana boat with you, Braden, and 2 other guys or 2 other people.
Dallas would do it right. Yeah, he would make sure that I had a good time. He's the facilitator of fun after all.
Right.
So me, Dallas, you know what? I would pick Gaz.
Oh, okay.
I would pick Gaz.
Yeah.
Yep. And
well, he'll have to wear a hat though. He's got to wear a hat.
Yeah, he would wear a hat.
Yeah.
Me, Dallas, Gaz, and Paige Sporanic.
Wow, that's a solid pick.
Yeah,
solid
pick Paige. Yeah.
I thought you would pick like CM Punk on there.
I mean, he doesn't drink.
True.
He's straight edge.
That. Straight edge, right.
Yeah, he's straight edge. I mean, a lot of those guys, like, I would love to hang out with. Like, I'd love to hang out with Roman Reigns, but he's married. He's kind of just like about his business, and I don't know how much he parties or anything. I know he goes to the Kowloon though, so shout out to the Kowloon.
What's the deal with that?
We're fine. It's not going to be for a long time. Yeah, this generation is not passing it down to the next generation, so they're just trying to figure out what they're going to do with the land when that time comes, but that time is not now.
If Dave bought it for some reason,
yep,
to like would it still be the restaurant? Would it be some sort of converted into some sort of Barstool restaurant, sort of thing like that? Because I know with Penn, they're trying to get they're getting casinos, Barstool casinos, and different things like that. But imagine, like you talked about on CCK on Friday.
Yeah.
A Barstool Calhoun merger.
Yeah, I mean, like if that happened, it would be a dream come true. Like if we could somehow preserve Calhoun forever, it would be incredible. But I mean, there's only one Calhoun, so if
I have to go, I've never been. Clearly, I've never been. So.
You have to go. It's one of the best life experiences that you can give yourself. I hope it's here for a long, long time, but it sounds like there is unfortunately a light at the end of the tunnel there.
All right, amazing interview, dude. I really appreciate it. It's a long time coming. Hopefully, I haven't annoyed you by asking. I know you said that the email thing. It's kind of weird, I'm
weird with emails. I'm like, when I get emails, I freak out. I'm like, I can't. It's the same thing. Like I can get a text message, a DM. It's like I can. Those are fine, but like for whatever reason, being an email, I'm like, I can't do it.
Well, we got it done. Next, I need to get Kevin in here, which I think will be soon. Yep. But Jared, I really appreciate it, man. One of the best in the biz. I know people do say it, but I really do mean it. You are like, for young guys like me, we look up to you because we know how much hard work you put in,
for sure.
and then you have all this in front of you, because with hard work comes success, and then you get all this opportunity. So hopefully you can come on again in the near future. Be a blast. All right. Thanks, bro. Hold on. I know you just watched that video. It's pretty good because you watched the whole thing. You made it this far. Just click that subscribe button. It's not that hard. I know you watched some other things, but was it as good as this? I don't think so, since you watched the whole thing. You enjoyed it. I know you did. You're nodding your head right now, and it's like, yeah, I enjoyed it, Taylor. I like it. I want to watch more. Click the button.